How do you know when it starts?
It's already begun.
Okay.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No,
Well, this is your first time.
I'm sweating.
How does Joe start his?
I think he looks over at young Jamie and then he just goes, "Are we recording?" And then Jamie must nod his head yes. And he's like, "All right, here we go. Well, welcome to the show."
Well, you just did the intro then. So, sister, do you remember your first moment of consciousness? Because now I haven't been asking this question to enough people and I got to get a real flow going.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
we
a
need
good
to lighten it
question.
up, and you're the person to lighten it up with.
Well, I like to think that I have a memory of mom. We're in the car. Must have been Sally or Billy, of course. Mom's in the passenger seat, and I have this vision of her turning around and looking at me and saying something along the lines of, like, "Do you know how old you are today? You're 3." And she holds up her fingers, and it's on her snub finger hand. And I feel like that could be real. And if it is, it would be that. But I don't know anything else of like where we're going. Like you're not in it, so that sucks.
Well, you have to add just for a little bit of context, Sally or Billy is the name of our car. No one's gonna know that. Every car we ever owned had a name.
Yeah, so it would have been Sally or Billy that we were sitting in. And I can see the back of Dad's head in the moment, but
Well, I
I
feel
don't
like
know if.
extra details always adds to the memory, right? So like the more details that you can pull from this memory, the more valid it seems.
And like Mom's hair was short, but I guess I could like cross check that with reality as well. Because like, when did she get that short bob? Like not super short, but like the intermediate bob with the headband.
Yeah.
Like would I have been 3? So maybe we could.
Yeah, we could check that.
Yeah, we could check that.
Okay, cool. So it was mostly like a visual memory then.
Yeah, that's a visual memory for sure.
And so like is that just because you remember it that you were conscious of remembering it? Like versus having some kind of existential, oh my God, I'm a human, or oh my God, I'm a Hannah. So it was like the age thing. She's your mom, you knew that.
Yeah, just a memory. Just my earliest
Your
memory, and
earliest memory, yeah. Makes sense.
mm,
Like when did you know you were you, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
depends how you define that, I guess.
Well, it's up to you to define, I think. I just mean like when did you just always know you were you and this was your life and and it was always just fine that way? Or did you have any moments of like, oh, this is um okay, this is different or something like that? I don't want to lead you too much.
No, I mean, I think I've always felt very like in my body. Like,
I'll tell you why I ask because sometimes when I'm talking to people about this, they remember their childhood as if they're like watching it
yeah, totally. Okay, so like
like a
I,
movie, you know what I mean? So like you're saying that's like cool that you just mentioned you're in your body because a lot of people don't think or don't remember being in their bodies. It's very like projection. They're like seeing themselves. Oh, like I can see myself playing in daycare, or I can see
mhm,
myself, you know what I mean? So it's kind of
mhm.
interesting uh and it goes with that whole thing where they say like we're not really in our bodies. Like the closer we get to age 7 and 8 is when we're truly like in our bodies now. I mean, if you want to believe that, but
Mhm. No, I certainly have. I don't know if I've ever had memories where I'm looking at myself like it's a film or something, but I feel like I have felt that before, maybe in dreams. But when I think back to like when I have memories, they're always from my perspective. Like I'm never imagining myself going through anything from like a third, which is like probably because I don't consider myself to have had a very traumatic childhood. Like I think if you have trauma, you're going to dissociate probably out of your body more and more often or more frequently.
Okay, you didn't have a traumatic childhood, so you didn't dissociate a lot. So this is about this is a good thing.
Well, I think that's one reason why that could happen a lot. Like obviously there are a lot of people who just like have memories in the third person. I don't think that's as weird as it sounds.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird either. I think that's pretty normal. But I do know what you mean about like trauma shooting you out of your body. Like that's a real thing too.
Mm.
Okay. So, well, you do have a good memory just in general, I'd say.
I have a memory. I have a memory. Yeah, these aren't really like my first conscious memories, but I do have a memory of waking up while sleepwalking. I was having a dream and then I woke up from it on the main floor. And then I ran upstairs and mom was already out of bed, like at the top of the stairs. So I kind of like ran into her arms and she was just like, "What are you doing?" And then I'm like, "I don't know." She doesn't remember that though. I asked her the other day.
Oh, really?
Not
That's
really.
actually something interesting to note about your sleep, though, because you were a sleepwalker. I
Yes,
never
and
even
she
thought to
told
ask you about that, actually. I forgot about
and
that.
she told me she got us mixed up the other day. She said that you were the sleepwalker. And I said Sarah was not the sleepwalker.
No, I have one incident only. One incident only.
Yeah, when you like peed in the
Tried
closet.
to pee in her closet. Yeah.
Yeah, and she remembers that
Tried.
so vivid. She remembers that very vividly, and she was like, "Well," because I was asking her about your night terrors because my son has night terrors, and I wanted to see if there was like any, I don't know, maybe like if she had tips or if it was at a certain age or just like her experience with that and what she remembers of your experience with that. And she didn't
What
really
does she? She does. Yeah. Fuck.
she didn't really recall like very much other than she said it was like really awful, like it was really hard to watch. And I'm like, yes it is. And she was like, and once we figured out that that's what they were a little bit easier to deal with because at first she said they would get really worried and they would like turn the lights on and like basically try to wake you up. And then obviously that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just kind of like hands off comforting, and which is like so hard to do. I don't even technically, I break that rule all the time. Like when your kid's crying, it's very hard to just sit there and be like, "Oh, well, I'll just try to sleep through it." Like obviously you're gonna console them, but anyway, that's that's what that's what I was asking her about. And then she brought up too that you were the sleepwalker, and I was like, no, that was well, that I guess you did, but I did more. And then I reminded her that when they sent me to that camp, I said, "Remember when you sent me to that overnight camp? You had to specify that I would get the bottom bunk because I sleepwalk." And she's like, "Oh, yeah." It's funny.
I mean, we're diving into lots of different realms of like cool threads there because that horseback riding camp was not only like one of our real telepathy moments as
It
sisters,
was. It was.
because I absolutely knew you were having a bullshit time, and I knew
It was a
the
horror shit time.
it was a horse shit time. I knew when the phone rang, like I was in bed because I feel like it was early morning. So you're like what, 9 years old?
I was 11,
Oh,
dog.
you
I
were
was pretty old.
11.
I
Dude,
was
you
pretty old.
hated being out of the house.
Always.
Cancer to a T. Okay, that's interesting. So, anyways, I remember being in bed and I remember it was like very early morning because mom was still like having her shower. And I flung out of bed and I knew you were calling. Like I'd
Mm-hmm.
already received the telepathic phone call,
Mm-hmm.
SOS. Hannah needs to come home from overnight horse camp.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Can
I had some
you
real
imagine if you
cathartic
were sleepwalking then? That
I
means
had some real cathartic vindication when I brought that up because she was just like, we should not have sent you to that camp. And I was like, she was like, we should not have sent you. And I wanted to jump all over, but I was like, why do you say that?
because you had never been able to handle one sleepover away from the home
Well,
prior.
that's actually not true. That's the funny part is I did quite well with sleepovers when I was young, and then it wasn't until I was probably 9 that it stopped because I went to Christy Geary's birthday party when I was 6, and oh shit, shouldn't be name dropping full names.
I'll just like put a little
Okay, sorry, yeah. So I went to a friend's birthday party when I was 6, and I remember a little girl at that birthday party got homesick, and I remember thinking like, "Oh, that sucks. Like, why would she feel that way?" And then I went back to bed. Yeah.
That's
So what
so
happened?
weird. Yeah, what
Anyway,
happened? I didn't have a traumatized childhood.
yeah. Obviously, I did.
Something between 6 and
Something.
9 or to
Yeah,
11
had to
had
stay
to have
home.
happened.
No, but mom was saying she's like, "Oh no, we shouldn't have sent you to that camp. I should have known that." Like I knew that the horse world was so clicky. And I guess I didn't know this. I guess the plan was actually to send us together. Yeah, the plan was to send us together, but mom got a call like that for the waiting list. I had come up first because they put the waiting list like also in some kind of alphabetical order. So H comes before S and blah blah blah, and it's going to be full and whatever. Anyway, she felt some kind of pressure, or like she just thought, okay, whatever, we'll try it. But originally, it was supposed to be both of us going. Did you know that?
I actually feel I don't know, but I feel maybe there was like a little disappointment. So maybe I did know that.
Well, and I feel also that didn't you get a shirt at the open house too? Like, didn't we both get those shirts? And it's like, I think
I do not remember an open house or anything. You're
we
like,
went to an we went to an open house and they had, the name of the camp with a horse on it. Mine was yellow with white. I think yours was blue with white. We were supposed to go together,
see,
and mom was like,
you're pulling from somewhere that I left behind, I guess. I don't know. It's
but
wild.
I don't even know. Obviously, that would have helped immensely, but I don't even know if that would have been enough
Oh,
because
really?
we
Oh,
would
we
have
would
been
have
in
been in
different age
separate.
groups,
Yeah.
and then it would have, in my
We couldn't
mind
have
at
held each
least,
other all night long.
exactly, they
Yeah,
would
that
have
wouldn't
made
have
it a
worked.
big thing of like, well,
Oh, those girls have to go
this
hold
is
hands all night long.
right, right.
They're gonna
So
need
it's
their
just
own
like,
cabin. Those
yeah,
sisters.
yeah. So
Okay, I do remember though, and this is just funny to me. What's your one? Let me see if you remember the same as I do. What's your one memory of your good time at that camp? I love how we're talking about horse camp.
um well, I like the horses.
Yeah, no, it's not about that though. It's not about that. There was one good memory that you came home telling me about because I remember saying like, "Well, but did you have one good day?" Because I think you were only there for like 2 days,
I was only
maybe
there for
three
two
days.
days.
Yeah.
Nope, I was only there for 2 days. Well, remind me.
Well, it has to do with a certain stable hand.
Oh, yeah. I forget what his name was.
My point being, you literally self-soothed by flirting with the one guy that worked at an all-girls horse camp.
Oh, wow. I can see him in my mind's eye.
And I remember thinking this is so hilarious that the only good time you had at this horse camp was when this guy who like mucked out the horses was chatting with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cowboy crush from the beginning, I guess. Hey, no wonder I like Yellowstone so much.
Who doesn't, man? All right. Okay, that was Okay, so that's interesting that you were sleepwalking pretty like late. I call that, I guess people sleepwalk into their like, well, into their adulthood and stuff, but that's kind of interesting. I wonder when it actually fully stopped.
It hasn't. I slept watched just the other day.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Where'd
Yeah, it
you
happens.
go?
It happens every once in a while.
Where'd you wake up and find yourself?
It's maybe that's a bit of a misnomer because I didn't walk anywhere, but I just like woke up in a different position on the bed.
That does not count.
Yeah, because I was like sitting in like a lotus position. Like
You
I
were,
woke up sitting in
oh,
like I
oh
woke up like
God,
that.
your yoga,
Yeah.
just waking up in yoga positions, doing
And there
some
was a time.
mudras.
Yeah, and this one was kind of scary. Like I told my husband and he didn't really like it, but when my son was really young, probably under 4 months, I had a dream that there was something coming like down from the ceiling, like like a black sludge or like a bugs or bats or like it was something dark and oozy coming down. And so in my sleep, like my baby was sleeping beside me, and then in my sleep, I kind of got up and I like was holding him to me and protecting him from that. But then I kind of like came to and I was like, oh, it's just a dream. So then I was able to like put him back down. But my husband was like, that's kind of fucked up if you're like
Yo, did you almost them my nephew?
I don't know, did I? I don't think so. I don't think I did.
I'm gonna go back and listen. Yeah, that's creepy. Does it always start with a dream though? I guess you would have
Oh,
no
you're
idea.
always
I guess you're
dreaming when
always
you're
in a dream, but do
sleepwalking.
you
Well, yeah,
recall your
because
dream?
all the time, because it makes sense in your dream.
Right.
Like what you're doing makes sense. And then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, of course. Of course, I should go back to bed.
Well, I think then we should, I like, this was a really traumatic thing. Speaking of childhood trauma, like the one time you slept walked when you were a kid has been like an everlasting, impermeable, horrific memory on me. Thanks for that. But when you were like very little too, and you slept walked and you hid yourself again with a closet in one of dad's like closets, and mom and dad went to go find you and woke me up because they were freaking out so much. Naturally, they can't find their kid. And and it shot me out of body actually. Wow, so wow, I never even thought of it this way. So I have a memory because I stayed in my bed the whole time. Like I know that I wasn't like, I don't think I was running around looking for you, but mom was running up and down the street, and I have the memory of watching her do that because it
Mm,
was like a summer's night,
hmm.
so it was like super balmy. So we just had the like the screen door with the itty bitty lock, you know what I mean? So she was worried that somehow that wasn't gonna like contain you in the home, I guess.
Hmm.
So that's why they were like literally outside because I mean our house that we grew up in was not big, so there's only so many places you could truly escape to, you know?
Hmm.
So that's weird. So that's an out of body for me. But and then at the end of this whole fiasco, like you had literally just curled up and put yourself back to sleep in dad's closet.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember that one.
Well, you were like super, super little. So
Hmm.
I wonder if young son will add that to his repertoire as he gets older too.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not for you as well, but it'll be interesting to see what he pulls from Auntie versus you, you know? I feel like sleepwalking is much better than night terrors. Night
I
terrors are
don't know.
not fun. I mean,
No, they're
I don't know what's
terrible.
easier on a parent, but
Maybe this, no,
like
I
how
don't
to
know. At
contain a
least, no,
sleepwalking
yeah,
step.
I don't know. At least when he's having a night terror, I can see that he's right in front of me. Whereas, like, are you always going to be sleeping lightly because you just think your kid, like, you're going to be putting deadbolts at the top of the every door, you know? And my son already tries to escape the house all the
I was
time
gonna say
just to go
you're
to
gonna have
do
to be doing
stuff.
that anyway, so
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the night terrors are so like they're so intense, and like the pitch of his screaming gets like it he almost like screams himself hoarse if it's a long one. And sometimes I really think to myself like there's going to be a CPS agent like on my door tomorrow morning because it just sounds horrific. Like yeah, like if I heard that and I didn't know, I would be really scared. Like I feel bad for our neighbors sometimes because they have young kids who are, like 10, 12 or something. And it's like, I wouldn't want to hear a 2-year-old crying because they're long. Like sometimes they can be like 7 minutes long of like,
And how often does this happen?
not often. It happened a few times when he was like, and by a few, I mean maybe 5 times or less when he was like 18 months old. And then it didn't happen for a long time. And he's coming up to 2.5 now. So a year later, and he's doing it again more. Not often, but just like it didn't happen for so long, and then now it happens again sometimes.
I wonder if it's like a full moon effect. Like, I wonder if you could even track that.
Mm-hmm.
Or just
Well,
next
when it,
time it does happen, like take note. Like, then we can kind of
oh
look
yeah, no,
into,
I write them all down, but they don't
oh,
really
okay.
follow a pattern, and they don't really, because when it doesn't happen, it's like you don't want it to happen more, but you almost would need it to happen more to track something. Otherwise, it just seems like random days. Heart goes out to all the parents out there.
Yeah, well,
Might
hey,
take our
you're
kids.
providing a service. I mean, it is therapy to just come together and be like, yeah, wow, we're all experiencing this. That sucks.
Yeah,
Don't wake them up. Don't turn the lights on. Don't freak them out more. They're dreaming. They're asleep. There you go.
yeah, but also like keep in mind that also even if you do nothing and don't touch them, it will just sometimes continue to crescendo until it stops. And then when it stops, you just feel like, what did I do right to get that to stop? Like, doesn't seem like I did anything.
So truly, the dream just has to like see itself out.
Yeah, like
Sucks.
all of a sudden, he'll start to nurse.
Okay, so wait, what's the science? Do you know the science behind why they can't wake up?
Not intimately, but has something to do with the brain states going between REM, like
Hmm.
the brain going between REM and heavier sleep or something like that. Like when you switch between sleep states and they get like stuck or something and it frustrates them, or I don't know what.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we've laid this out. You remember your mom, our mom. You are a sleepwalker. You always have been. You missed your mom at horse camp.
Sure did.
Sure did. And you freak out your family by hiding in closets and going missing. And now you're an adult
Yeah.
and a mother.
And I still dream of just going missing someday.
Don't say that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would tell you where it was.
Did you know that? Did you listen to the one I did with Michael Wan? He said that was his fantasy of just going missing. What is this weird theme?
Yeah. Mike knows what's up. Mm.
I wanted to ask you about the Eagles and when that began, because that's a running theme. But I also wanted you to somehow slide in the story of you getting rolled over on your foot by a car, just because that is a classic, incredible tale. So, however you want to go about either of those two stories, if you're up for it,
Yeah.
regale me. Regale us
Well,
all. Regale the 12 friends that we have that listen to this. You know them all.
can't wait. Well, they don't fit together, so I'll just start with that's funny that you want to hear that one. I mean, it is a good story. Yeah.
It's good because it
I was
really sets the precedent for like how truly weird you are, if
Oh,
anyone's
that's not true.
curious. Why there's a weirder one?
No, I just mean I don't know. Like I think miracles happen every day. Okay. I was walking home from my part-time job. Let me set the scene. It is nighttime, We are in winter in southwestern Ontario. It's very cold. I have about 3.5 kilometer walk home. I'm wearing my big, very big, technically a man's parka. I'm wearing Doc Martens, standard issue, nothing special about them. And I have headphones in both ears. Okay. That's key because I've altered this habit ever since. I do not walk with two headphones in ever. Only one. So I'm walking home. Yeah, like crossing the street, busy roads, okay? And yeah, yeah. So I'm crossing the street and then someone takes, well, actually, I don't know. I am assuming that they turned left on a red light. Like they just blew through a red light and turned left. But I don't know that to be true. Maybe they just came through a red light, like perpendicular to me, and they ran over my foot, which is so fucked. So, like, it's dark out. Like, I'm wearing black. I believe it was some kind of like black SUV, but it could have been a black van, I guess. No, I don't think it was a black sedan because I remember it feeling tall. Like I could feel the wind of it go by me. It ran over my fucking foot. The first thing I did, okay, believe it or not, the first thing that I did was I looked, well, okay, sure, I looked at the vehicle speeding away because it was going very quickly. And then I looked at the crosswalk and I saw that indeed, like, yes, the little man was showing like I had the green because the first thing I thought was, did I just walk into fucking traffic? Like, what kind of idiot am I just walking into a busy road? Anyway, so I make it across the street and I like lean on the stoplight, like where you would press the button to cross. And I'm like kind of crying, but mostly just like heavy breathing. And the best, well, it's not the best part, but another hilarious facet of this is that the corner that I'm now standing on is a cop shop. So I'm thinking to myself, should I go in there? Like, do they have cameras right here? Like, should I go tell them that like some maniac just like almost killed me? But like, I wasn't even really thinking in those terms either. Like, I don't think I really realized how mortal I was in that moment. I think. And then as I'm like deep breathing, kind of losing it, I'm wiggling my foot around, thinking like, I'm not feeling any pain. But I've got so much adrenaline, like, I'm not going to feel any pain. I'm not going to feel it. Hannah, you're not even going to be in pain until half an hour from now when you're going to realize your foot's broken. Like, whatever. You got to just sort of chill. And then there's a guy. There's a guy in his car stopped at that stop and he had rolled his window down and he's just like, are you okay? And I just look at him and I'm like, yeah, like I think I just nodded. I don't really remember what I said. Anyway, and then I walked home. And then I walked home on my not broken foot. And I told dad when I got home. And he just said, like, someone ran over your foot. And I was like, someone ran over my foot.
I really the best part of the story to me, well, I mean, I like it for so many reasons. I hate it, but I like it. It's because you got like corroboration that it wasn't just like you had a witness. Not that you needed it, but it just really does add like extra validity to the story because lots of people have kind of weird stuff happen to them and no one saw it. No one knows.
Oh, there
And
were plenty of other cars too. It wasn't just that one car. I mean, obviously, only the one car like asked me, like, "Are you okay?" But the thing that I wish I knew, but I
also, I'm
won't
sure
know.
that there was cameras. Like I'm sure that you could have. I'm sure that you could have gone in there and been like, hey, I want to see the footage.
I wish I could have heard the audio of that event, but maybe not because it would have been so scary. I don't know. Like, were people honking at me, being like, look at the car coming? Was the car itself honking at me? Like, I literally had heavy metal.
Oh, right, right. I already forgot the piece about you having headphones
Right,
in. Yeah, 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 yeah.
right. So I had heavy metal level 10 in my ear. So, like, I heard nothing. And I had my hood up. This is also like another important detail, I guess. I had my big parka hood up. So my peripheral vision was limited. I like to think, I mean, you know, me and you, like, we grew up walking to university, we walked everywhere. So, like, I like to think that I looked both ways, but you kind of go on an autopilot. Even when you're looking, it's like when you're driving. So,
Anyways, you get home, dad is in disbelief, but you guys check over your foot, and that's it. That's the end of it, really, because you were fine.
yeah. And then I think he made some comment. Can you hear the background noise?
Absolutely everything, yeah. Anyways, finishing off that story. I just like that story and I wanted it somewhere where the grandchildren can listen to it one day because it's a weird one.
It's a weird one. It's
It's
maybe
not the
not
weirdest
that.
one. I guess you're
Well,
right.
it's not weird when you think of the fact that unfortunately people get hit by cars every day. It's just weird to think that something could be that close and then not be injured.
Well, I think you're also missing the fact that like you felt it roll over your foot.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then, like, why was my foot not broken?
And like, yeah, because that was part of, I mean, I remember this being part of your memory, right? Like aside from the all the headphones in and everything, but like you fully felt this whoosh past you, but also the pressure. Like you felt a pressure, did you not?
Yeah, of course. And, like, I should probably, like, correct myself. Like, they weren't even standard issue Doc Martens. They were like this edition that had a softer leather. So it's like,
Yeah, please correct your footwear there.
yeah, like, that matters, you know? Like, I was not wearing, because I remember one of the first things Dad said to me, he
You
was like,
had
"Oh,
to
well,
because of LCBO, you needed steel toe boots or something, did you not?
I didn't have them yet because I had just started." So that's what
Oh,
Dad says to
that's
me. He
part
was
of the
like, "Oh,
story then.
were you wearing steel toes?" And I was like, "No, I don't have any yet." Because in his mind, he was like, "Oh, well,
It's
you're wearing
all
your
in the
steel toes." Like,
details.
yeah, no, no, I was just wearing boots anyway. Whatever. I just don't like to think about. Well, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's just when I think about it too much, I think, "Oh my God, like, I really almost got, like, I
Yo,
almost just ate it."
you could literally be like footless hand right now.
Well, not only that, but, like, if I had been walking a bit faster,
Oh
I
yeah,
would
you
be
could be
like
gone. You
bodiless
could be
hand.
gone.
Yeah,
Memory hand.
yeah, that's fucked.
It is. Sleepwalking, regular walking.
Yeah, I was sleeping that day, I tell you. Should have opened my damn eyes. Both ways. That's the PSA.
Okay, well, license, I'm giving you creative license to talk about any dream you want to, but if not, then I do like the eagle dreams because it's led to a real world fear.
I've only had three or four. I think three. And the first one was maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And I don't know, it was like these big, take like a really big, like bigger than a human, you know, but human-esque, humanoid, bald eagle Roman gladiators. Kind of like they're, you know, like century, like army eagles from Roman times.
I think you have to start too. Like, you're a pretty good dreamer. Like, you dream quite often. I think frequency and like,
Mhm.
Like some
Yeah,
people
I
don't dream
mean,
at all. So just to start it off with like, hey, yeah, here's my sister. She dreams pretty good. She sleepwalks too. But
yeah,
like
like
you remember
I
your
dream.
dreams fairly well, would you say?
I typically remember my dreams. Sometimes I don't, and then I'll remember them later. Nothing special there. Or sometimes I would say there's sometimes a mild blending of like dream and reality. If like I have a memory of something, I'll be like, was that a dream or was that real? And it's usually something very mundane. So it's like not important whether it was real or a dream, but I'll just be like, oh, that's a weird feeling. Like, was that real or not? Anyway, yeah, so I have this dream and these eagles are like pretty scary, honestly. Like there was one of them, I don't really remember the ins and outs of that one other than we were outside. It was near the house that I was like living in with mom and dad, like that in mom and dad near mom and dad's house, I should say, Jesus. And that made it sound like we rented it together or something. Like me and mom and dad all went in on a house. No. There was many of them. There was like 5 or 6 of them. These eagle things. One of them was my ally. I had made an ally among them. The rest of them
One
were kind of,
eagle brother.
yep. And the rest of them were kind of scary. So that stuck with me. And I just thought, after that one, I thought, oh, that's weird. And like, they seemed so majestic and royal that like I had sort of a reverence, but also like a ooh yeah, like ooh, they are scary, you know? And then I had one, and these other ones are more recent. I had one with a man who turned in no, an eagle who turned into a man. And we were like on a playground and I look up in the sky and from far away I see this huge bald eagle coming and I'm like, fuck, hasn't seen and it's like a big playground with like many play sets, so I'm kind of like leaving and then eventually it lands, but when it lands it's like half man half eagle, and then like something else happens and then there are other people. I think I had warned people there are other people there, and then he turns into just like a full man in front of everyone, and people get their phones out and stuff because they think this is so cool, and I'm like, I don't think you guys realize like we need to get the fuck out of here. Like this is not the time to take out your phones. Like this thing is scary. And then my most recent one, okay, so then I left that dream thinking eagles are scary, and then
Like you're
my
dreaming of the Watchers to me. There's some kind of humanoid eagle Book of Enoch thing happening if you're kind of afraid of them. The fear is the weird part, but they also say like from an archangel point of view, if you're dreaming of like winged messengers, they're apparently horrifying. So that kind of so
well
like just where my brain goes, I'm like, okay, cool. You're getting some real info here. Uh-oh.
also eagles are terrifying if you see them. Most people would agree. It's like you can admire it on the internet or from far away, but the minute that you have an eagle like landing in front of you, you're gonna back up. You're backing up. I
This is good.
guarantee it.
This is good. You be real world. I'll be outer world. We meet in the middle. In the middle is fear.
I'm telling you. Anyway, we'll get to that. So then my third and most recent dream, it was like a wooded area with a path. I'm hiding in the woods. And from far away, I can see them coming. So I'm really hiding in the woods. They're on the path. I'm not on the path. two eagles, huge, huge, carrying, well, one of them is carrying it, but there is two. One of them has in its talons a wolf, okay? And it has its talons like we learned this. I know where this part comes from because we learned this in grade 9. We had like a bird of prey clinic came to our high school, and we learned about how like eagles and birds of prey, they have like that back talon that like goes like literally up the back of their prey's head, like right into their brain. So it's like a swift kill. So like in my dream, they're holding this wolf by its head, and then the wolf's whole body is just like dangling below, and they're like carrying it up this path, and I'm just like freaking out. Like I'm keeping my cool, but I'm freaking out because I'm just like, this is so scary. These things are so huge. And then my life since these dreams, like my son has an alphabet book, E for eagle. We skip that page. Like well,
So what you're trying to say is this has actually started a real fear. Like you're actually truly horrified now. And where you didn't have this fear
no,
prior.
no, I'm
I mean, I'm
obviously
being
yucking it up.
dramatic, I guess.
I'm yucking it up for comedic relief. Like, obviously, I read that page in my kid's book. I don't want him not to learn the letter E. I just mean that I think the look of them is terrifying. And I think if you Google bald eagle, their eyes are so intense. Their bodies are like, they're huge. Their talons are huge and sharp. Everything about them is intimidating. I feel very intimidated by them. And I saw one from my house about, I don't know how long ago, maybe a month or 2 or 3. And of course, you're drawn to it because they're amazing. So we're outside on the back deck. I look up and I say to my husband, like, we almost say at the same time. We're both like, that's a bald eagle. And we've seen them in this area before. So it's not like unheard of, but I have never seen one in our neighborhood. Like, we've seen them when we drive to the outskirts. We'll see them in the fields, like killing stuff, and it's really cool, but never from the house. And the way that it's flying towards us, it kind of banks around to the front of the house. So I go in the house and I run it to the front and I see it fly away, and I'm like, holy shit. Obviously, I'm like, my heart is pumping, but I'm like, this is crazy. And then, not 2 seconds later, I turn around to go back in the house, and there's a hummingbird at my mandeville plant. And I'm like, this is a lot of birds in 2 seconds. And like, I never see hummingbirds. I know that they're not super special necessarily or like rare, but I think they're special.
Okay, so so now I'm having feelings because I'm remembering my dreams. So outside of like the fear thing, were you able to like because like using our brains is one thing, like what are we dreaming about using our brains, and you can look at different, like is this like a Jungian thing, what kind of symbology do you kind of want to analyze it with, but like for you right now, because this keeps happening and now you've developed this kind of fear feeling, are you putting like a story to it? Is there no story? Are you seeing just what comes? Like where are you at? Because I mean, you've had kind of recurring themes before. This isn't your only recurring dream theme, I would say. Am I wrong saying that? I guess I'm thinking of your orcas and your whales and stuff, which doesn't give you a fear feeling. My sister dreams of whales and birds.
Actually, that's not true. The orcas scare me too.
Okay, so are you just completely freaked out by animals in your dreams? Is it because it's like so animalistic that is in that like is removed from our day-to-day lot? Like I wonder if that's kind of, I was gonna say
Well, it's
carnal. I
always
don't think
it's
the carnal is the right word though. What am I trying to say?
like primal.
Yeah,
It's very
primal.
it's never animals. First of all, orcas and eagles are both predators, and they're never just like doing nothing. They're always doing something like very powerful or intimidating. Like when I was dreaming about the orcas, like I was simultaneously impressed and like trying to flee because it was a mother orca with her baby. And I was like, I can't, like, she can't know I'm here because I just thought this like would be like a mama grizzly bear situation. Like she'll go nuclear and then I'm toast. I don't think it's unreasonable or like I don't think it's a weird thing to be like, oh, well, I'm scared of orcas. It's like, well, you probably should be. Not that they're killing people left, right, and center, but it's like, a healthy respect for a wild animal.
Well, I also like that one's kind of in like one's ocean, one's sky. So you have like you in the middle.
Yeah, it makes me think I need to make a pilgrimage to BC. You can see both at the same time?
What if they just like converge upon you and you just like I just imagine you just like I'm out of here. Faint.
I don't know. I don't know. It would be
Checking out
intense.
now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I always really
Also,
liked
like dead wolf.
hawks.
Like, did you think about the dead wolf part? Because like wolf medicine is pretty strong. Like, you're not dealing with like it's not like I mean, I hate to say something bad about a chickadee or whatever, but like from an animal medicine point of view, like these are some heavy hitters.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really dissected those, which maybe sounds crazy because there's a lot to dissect there, but it's just like,
Well, the
I don't know.
only I like to relate it back because the if you're saying you dreamt about the eagle 10 years ago, that was your first one. I'm trying to think of 10 years ago. What was I doing?
Well, I just remember like I was still living at home. I think I was with my now husband, and we've been together for 10 years. I feel like it was the beginning. I had a dream once that I would, I never thought about this. It happened at a similar place to my first eagle dream. So, like near mom and dad's house. And a hawk came out of the sky and it sat on my shoulder, but it like dug its talons into my shoulder. So, like, I had scars and I was like bleeding profusely, but I was like okay with it. So, it was like some kind of friend, but like just I just knew that it's like, yeah, well, when this hawk comes to like sit on me, like it like holds on to sit. Like its
It's
talons are
gonna
so
hurt.
sharp. It hurts, but like it's okay. And like I have these like, yeah.
Did you find out you were pregnant soon after that?
No, I had that dream when I was like 15
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Timeline.
or like maybe 17.
Well, I was just gonna say the only time that I've dreamt of eagle like maybe twice, and that was right before I started getting all the Gabriel stuff. So that's why in my head I now associate eagles with angels just because right after I dreamt and my thing was similar too. Like I was very scared. It was like a reverent thing. It was almost like a soldier eagle. I remember telling you actually. And it was right the night before I did my fucking Reiki 2 my Reiki 2 and I because it was like so in my head and I remember telling the lady that I got paired up with, I'm telling her all about my dream. It's so weird. I always seem to like talk out. I mean, I always talk out my dreams. This is why I'm doing this. But I just mean like I was still processing it, so I just like latched on to the to anyone who would listen. So I was like telling her about it and I literally said, I think dreaming of an eagle means angel Gabriel. Also, this is not like I don't think that's actually true, but like that's what I said out loud. So then I remember when you started telling me that you're dreaming of eagles, I'm like, oh, this is like some like to me, the story that I've attached to it is like this is some like truly like heavenly winged messenger stuff. And to me, it still goes together that you're so fearful of it because like the seraphim are supposed to be horrifying. Like the true depictions of like, I don't know if you've seen all the eyes and like angels aren't these beautiful depictions that we have now and stuff. So if your subconscious is, I don't know, I just think it's all wrapped up in uh something higher, which I kind of like that you're afraid of it. It gives it more validity again in my head.
Hmm. Like I don't know if you've seen, we probably have, but there's this one YouTube video that is pretty popular of like this fishing boat where like a million bald eagles like land on this fishing boat and are just like a million of them, like I don't know how many tons, And I don't know what I would do if I was on a fishing boat, but like I would be inside.
Like I'm starting to wonder now as you talk about this, what if it's just, giving you the body feeling leading up to you having some kind of angelic moment, just so that
Oh,
you can identify it, Either that or
well,
one really scary eagle encounter.
well, it's like I don't. Here's the cool thing though. It's like when I say, "Oh yeah, I'd be inside the boat if that was my boat." It's like it'd still be looking out the window though. You know what I mean? Because they're amazing, but it's just like they're huge. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's fine. Super interesting to me. Dreaming of animals, animal symbols, animal messengers. I guess the message was fear and awe. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, lines up with being away from home. Everything's kind of I wanted this to be a little light, but it's all kind of scary.
I know, I know, man. But people are gonna, the people who decide to listen to this are they're gonna go on a Google image rampage of bald eagles, and they're gonna know what I mean. It's like not something that you mess with, and they deserve our respect. And I get it why the US chose them as their like warhead because oof, it's intimidating.